God only knows what's going on with Errol Spence at this stage, whether this Terence Crawford rematch is actually going to happen. We're now hearing rumblings that Terence Crawford might actually fight Canelo Alvarez. Obviously, PBC are in a transitional phase at this point because they're moving from one broadcaster to the next. A lot of their fighters are wondering what's going on, whether there's going to be enough money available to make certain fights. And Canelo, of course, is a PBC fighter. He's got 2 fights left on his contract with him, last I checked. There's some whispers that his next fight could be Jamal Charlo rather than David Benavidez, which is really an insult to boxing fans as well as to David Benavidez. And they're saying the 3rd fight and final fight on his PBC contract could possibly be Terence Crawford. Now again, that's not acceptable because David Benavidez deserves his shot. It's overdue. But if we put that aside for a second and just look at Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford as a standalone fight, it is fascinating. Crawford going up 3 weight classes to take on Canelo. An audacious move. Obviously a lot of money in it, but there's also a lot of legacy in it, particularly for Terence Crawford. For a long time, there's been this idea that if Floyd Mayweather, the version that fought Canelo Alvarez back in the day, fought the current version of Canelo Alvarez, it would be, at the very least, a much more competitive fight. If not, Canelo would win. That's what a lot of people have been saying for several years now. And so Terence Crawford, who surely wants to eclipse Floyd Mayweather in any way he can, seems willing to step in and fight this current version of Canelo Alvarez. And of course, Canelo, not having the opportunity to rematch Floyd Mayweather, might see this as the next best thing. Now, ordinarily, if a guy's jumping up 3 weight classes, you'd say, this is awful. But because Terence Crawford is so good, I wouldn't be so hasty to dismiss it. But just as I criticize Canelo Alvarez for avoiding David Benavidez, I would also criticize Terence Crawford for avoiding Boots Ennis. Ennis was his mandatory. Obviously, Crawford got relieved of one of the belts, which Ennis now has. But Ennis says he's not satisfied with that. He wants to fight Crawford in the ring and prove that he's a real champion. And so going back to the Mayweather-Canelo comparison, the victory that Mayweather had over a young Canelo has aged very, very well because Canelo's gone on to have a fantastic career. If Terence Crawford were to fight Boots Ennis and beat him, that victory might age similarly well. Now, it certainly wouldn't pay as much money as a Canelo fight, but in the minds of many people, it's a more winnable fight at this stage. And it's the fight that he really should be taking. You know, if the Errol Spence rematch ain't going to happen. I say should be taken in terms of stamping his authority on the welterweight division, because that's the last domino right there, is Boots Ennis. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section below. The prospect of Canelo Alvarez fighting Terence Crawford at 168 pounds. How much of a chance would you give Crawford of getting the win? Is it a fight that you like, or is it a fight that you think will be bad for boxing? However you feel, let me know in the comments.